afternoon. Welcome to Rotary. We're going to go ahead and get started. Larry Holsey will lead us in our singing this morning.
Well, everybody wise, because we're in Baylor territory, we don't do it very often. We're going to sing that good old Baylor line. So if you're not a Baylor Bear, you're going to learn the song at least and sing it with us. Okay? That good old Baylor line, that good old Baylor line will march forever down the years as long as stars shall shine. We'll fling our green and gold afar to light the waves of time and guide us as we onward go. That good old Baylor line. All right, that's duet. Here. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Larry. Michael Ball will be doing our invocation.
Do you bow your heads with me? Heavenly Father, in a world where many are lonely, we thank you for friendship and community. In a world where many are despairing, we thank you for hope. In a world where many find meaningless, thank you for faith. In a world where many are hungry, we thank you for the food. Bless our fellowship today. Bless our speaker, Coach Rodriguez. In your holy name we pray. Amen. Amen. I'll have a seat. I'll introduce our guests. We have a visiting Rotarian, Kurt Stone, Kim Rodriguez, Lance of Scott Hosted, Ginger Bass, also Scott, Liz Rigney, Chris Garrett, who's a guest of Aaron Brunstein, and Michael Godfrey, a guest of Aaron Brunstein, and Gary Johnson, who's a guest of Curtis Brown, Ty Martin, guest of Tyler Martin, Jessica Junez, a guest of Tyler Martin, Judge Susan Kelly, a guest of Dr. Diane Sawyer, and John Gamble, a guest of Susan Kelly. Well, welcome, guests. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, Kate Paul Holt, former past president, is going to come up and give a little talk about the Rotary Foundation.
All right, we've got two opportunities for you to increase your status as Paul Harris Fellows. If you put in $50, the Rotary Foundation will put in $50, but actually if you put in $250, they will too, will go $500. We've got another scholarship opportunity that if you put in $500, they'll put in $500, and you can become a Paul Harris Fellow at the next level. Hard deal to beat. 2 for 1 of your dollars. Rotary Foundation puts it on, or actually a past district governor puts in one for you, and you can move up. So we encourage you to do that by the end of April. Also, as our district governor, Beverly Luke, talked about, when she was here the other day, got some raffle tickets. This is for a week-long stay on the Honolulu Divide, a 4-bedroom home, beautiful. I'm going to play like I worked for the trip and show you the picture. You can see it from back there, right? Kim, you got it? All right. Just want to make sure. But $4,500 to $6,000 opportunity. And it's 15 minutes from Winter Park in Granby. So we have 8 tickets left. They're $50 each, 3 for $50. But since we have 8 left for $250, we'll sell you all 8. The Rolling is drawing Saturday night at the Conference of Clubs on May the 7th. You need to get them today. I'll even loan you a pin to put your name on them. I'll put my name on certificates. I would encourage you to participate. And as the president, Russell,
Hey, Doc, send it out.
One quick thing, Michelle, you have a lot of guests. Real quick, what the Rotary Foundation does, just briefly, if you can.
the Rotary Foundation has contributed over $1 billion to defeat polio on planet Earth. One of the things that I learned when I first joined Rotary in 1989, one of the most inspiring things. What they do today, in addition to that, is they provide grants. We have literacy grants that our folks do every year at the local schools. We have water well projects in Africa that provide fresh water to communities. And for every dollar that our club raises, we get credit for that, and we can apply some of that money to come back to this district and to our club for us to do great things for our community. And to do that, Paul Harris was the founder of Rotary, and so this is named for him. It's a great opportunity, ton of fun, and you can't find much better to give your money to. So, I like this.
Thank you, Paul. And to follow that up, we are on current GAP grant. This is from the Rotary Foundation. We are doing a leadership and training grant that we have with Indian Springs School. And so we actually need still 3 more speakers for April 29th. This is our sign-up sheet. I did this last Friday. It was wonderful. Kids were great. Really engaged kids. So I just encourage, we need 3 more speakers to speak on a variety of topics. It's pretty easy. Talk about career, talk about leadership, kind of a variety of different topics that you might have individually to speak to the kids about. So that'd be great. So I'll sign up sheet here. Get with Kat after the meeting. If you want to sign up. See Jim if you want to sign up afterwards. Okay, also Roseberry's going to come up and talk about the conference that we have, the district conference coming up. Catherine's been sending a number of emails. That's a lot. But if you'll just kind of look at them, a few of them. The conference Rosemary will talk about is coming up here in May. And take it away.
Thank you, Russell. On a dark and stormy night about 3 years ago, a cauldron of district governors came to Waco for their annual visit, and among them was our current district governor, Beverly Luke. And she decided that her year she was going to have the Conference of Clubs, which is an annual event for Rotary District in Waco, Texas. And so our club was inspired. Little did he know, we had to figure out who was going to be president of our club, and that was going to be Russell. He said, sure, let's have the conference in Waco. So we diligently went to work, and we are excited. We put together a great conference. You can come for 1 day, you can come for 2 days. It's going to start on Friday, May the 6th. We have put together some leadership conferences that Friday afternoon. Then we're going to head out to the zoo and have a celebration out there. We want all the district Rotarians that come in for the conference to see our city and how proud we are of everything we have to offer. Saturday morning, we're going to be at the convention center with some more meetings and seminars. Then you'll get a box lunch to take with you and go enjoy the afternoon. The city of Waco's been kind enough to give us discount coupons for the goodie bags so that these Rotarians will want to know where to go and what they can see at the time allotted. Ashley Allison had put together, I don't know if you know it or not, but district Rotary clubs on the Monarch Butterfly Superhighway, which comes down through the United States, all got together and thought to save the monarchs, they would start planting milkweed gardens, which they did, and it's been successful. So we are going to the Baylor Museum on Saturday afternoon. Bring the kids, let them make their own seeds and whatever you do to plant milkweed that they can take home. And then we are going to be honored to put a plaque in the garden there at the Mayborn, recognizing that Rotary District 5870 had a part in that garden. Then we're back at the Convention Center Saturday night. It's an awards program, it's a dinner, and a local band's going to entertain us for a little while. It is no tie, it's very casual, so don't be put off because we're calling it an awards banquet. And then Sunday morning, the Rotary District always has what they call Celebration of Life, remembering all the lost Rotarians this past year. You will see some of our Rotarians mentioned as well as others throughout the district. And also on Saturday night, we have a Rotarian that will be receiving an award, Kim Patterson. So we want to come out and celebrate with Kim on her award. Easy to sign up. We have all kinds of ways to do that. See Catherine, see me, and if you do decide you want to go, I might have a few volunteer jobs that you can go with. So let's make Rotary District 5870 real life in Waco, Texas.
Okay, now for the chair of the day, Scott, let's say.
Thank you, President Russell. He's running a tight ship, so, I've been already kind of lectured about the time to make a quick introduction. So if you see the hook coming out, somebody grab him, because he's liable to use it. He's pretty tough. Running a tight ship here. We have two other special guests. I don't know if we mentioned. Did you all mention Cody Carlson being here? Cody, you're back in Waco. We're so glad to have you back. And Tom Mickey was Russell's adopted member. I rest his soul. Got to let the quarterback shuffle back then, right? And we're glad to have you. And then Mark Appalaw, former baseball player. Mark here. Hey, Mark, good to have you. Good to have you with us. I don't know if you've met Coach, I bet you have. Thank you for coming today. I really appreciate that. We want to thank Coach Rodriguez for making an exception. This is a game day. There was a game last night, a game tonight. He has a pretty tight and strict schedule, so we appreciate his being willing to come and spend time with us because it is important. There's a lot of things you do on game day that you don't do on a regular practice day. This is Coach Rodriguez's 7th season. It's actually the midpoint of his 7th season with Baylor. His record, I think, after last night's win, I think it's 176 and 126 here. He was formerly at Pepperdine, and he was the 2017 Big 12 Coach of the Year. That's his third Big 12, or actually third Conference Coach of the Year, with 2 out there in the West Coast Conference. Now, one thing I want to say, the Big 12 has been in existence, was formed in 1996, so we've had it 26 years, and Baylor is one of the only 2 schools that's qualified for the conference tournament every year. But the problem was Baylor could get to the championship and lost every time. There were 5 or 6 times that they got in, and we could never win, never broke through until Coach Rodriguez got here. 2018, we got the monkey off our back and finally beat TCU in 2018 for our first Big 12 conference title. It's a huge accomplishment that Coach Rodriguez put together. He was at Pepperdine, as I mentioned, from 2004 to 2015, so he's had 11 NCAA appearances in both schools. Coach Rodriguez played 3 years at Pepperdine. And he was an All-American second baseman in 1992. And I know this is going to hurt your feelings, but he had a couple of accomplishments in the College World Series in 1992. One of them, in the semifinal, he played our great sister school in Austin, the University of Texas. And they're a Big 12 school going to the SEC. But in that game, it was real tight between the Pepperdine Waves and the Longhorns. Tied game, whatever. He comes up, it's a grand slam home run to eliminate Texas from the 1992. Some of y'all may remember the 1992 World Series. The next day, they go on to play Cal State Fullerton, and he has a couple of defensive plays at second base that saved that game 3-2, so they won the national championship. I think we should give him a hand. That's a big deal. And he did go on and played on the Team USA, coach there. He was a 5th round draft pick by the Boston Red Sox in 1992, that same year. Reached the majors with Detroit and Boston, played for some other teams, about 6 or 7 years all the way through the different league systems there. We have 2 special guests besides Mark and Cody. We have Kim Rodriguez with us, who's been introduced, and then Liz Rigney, her son, Will Rigney, is a local Waco Midway product and one of our pitchers. And we were going to have Derek Smith and Jerry Hill. I'm not sure that they made it today. Just before we go any further, tell a real quick story. On Saturday, before the Kansas finale, Derek and the part of the order had a real small gathering, just a few of us there. And we had 2 pitchers there, and Derek Smith, our play-by-play guy, was there. I believe Jeter was there, and a few other people. Jim was there. Jim was there too, yeah. But we had just a few people, and I thought, well, I'm going to introduce Coach, so I'm going to ask these players what they think of it. Is he hard on them? Is he tough? Got any complaints about their coach? And then I thought, well, they might have some complaints, but let me see what he says about them. So I asked both these pitchers, and I won't name them because I could get them in trouble, and they may not see the mound again until next year. If I name these guys, they're going to remain anonymous right now. But one of them said, he said, well, Dr. Lipstead, he said, you know, there's a lot of little sayings out there right now, like, you know, no problem, man, no problem. Just do it, I got this. And there's one called my bad. You know, y'all have heard people like my bad. And so he said, what you don't want to do is you don't want to say, if I hit a runner, hit a batter, and give him first base, or I walk in a run and I go my bad, he says, I don't want to hear that. I know how bad that was. Don't tell me you're bad, because I know you're bad. So I don't want to hear my bad. You know, again, that's a third baseman, a right fielder, or a pitcher. So I'm not going to tell Coach who that was, but I thought it was a key story. They love Coach Rodriguez. They really do. And so at this time, I want to go ahead and have our, once again, welcome our special guests, the 2 we've mentioned, and Liz and Kim to come up. And while Coach Rodriguez is on his way to the podium, we really appreciate you taking time today, Coach. Come on up and talk to us.
Normally, I despise microphones. I normally have a loud enough voice to be able to project a little bit, so bear with the volume. I'll get it adjusted. No, I'm yelling enough tonight. Quick mark out, your name is now up on the board. The Philadelphia Phillies was missing. We made the adjustment, so you're now out there. Please bring your family in to take pictures whenever possible. Understand, when I first got here, my thing was to make sure all the alumni felt welcome. Because I tell our current players, everything you have and you have received here, you guys have done nothing for it. You have just received it. And so every player who has come before you are the ones who played, sweat, tears, blood to be able to get everything you currently have, whether it's donations or whatever it is. And so my goal was to always make sure the alumni felt very welcome coming back. So the opportunity for me was to put as many names up as possible. So we actually have a thing called the sycamore, which is going through the player's entrance. Every player's name that ever stepped foot on the field at Baylor is on that wall, from 1904 all the way down to 2020. Okay, so there's a lot of names. You know, and there's always somebody, not ours, but that's a different wall. There's always someone who comes in who may not have played but was on the team. And of course, it's way back when records were kept a little loosely, whether there were different categories for classifying a letterman. You had to play in a certain amount of games or whatever it is. The way I look at it is, if you get on that field, you deserve to be on that wall. It's just that simple. So there are some people who their classifications were a little bit different, and so they show up, and we have like a whole team over from, like the 1990 team. They would show up, and there's always that one guy who happens to show up. Is like, yeah, my name's not up here. And I'm like, you're right, it's not. So we have to kind of go through and you kind of figure that out. But what's funny is, as we were kind of talking about, there was an opportunity a couple years back when we were playing University of Texas, and Brooks Kieschnick, who was a pretty decent player for University of Texas, he's a guy who the Grand Slam off of in Omaha. And so he and I became friends because we were actually on Team USA together that same summer. And Phil Nevin, who we beat in the championship game, was on that team as well. Well, Phil's son, Kyle, is currently on my team right now. And so that's kind of a fun thing to be able to experience. But when we were down in Austin a couple years back, Brooks was throwing out the first pitch. And so Coach Pierce and I are doing lineup exchange, the umpires, Brooks is getting introduced, and he walks out to the mound. So I kind of look around just to make sure no one's going to like ambush me or anything. So I step up to the plate, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And he's looking at me, he's like, no, I don't want to go through that again. I don't want to go through that again. And so he and I are actually still good friends, and we stay in communication and stuff like that. But there's a couple things I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. And, Doc kind of gave me some things, because I'm always interested in kind of what you want to hear. Okay, because I can talk about just about anything. And so there's a lot of different things that were kind of brought up. One of them is really simple. One of my favorite movies is In Search of Bobby Fischer. Okay, and so you're like, what in the world is that? In Search of Bobby Fischer is a chess movie. Okay, it's about chess. And it's about just a young man kind of going through the disciplines of chess and being a chess master and all these different things. But there's a part in that movie that I reference all the time to my players. And that part is when the young man is going for the championship. He's 10, okay? And he's going against all these people, and he's going for the championship in his age group. And there's a move that is made where it jogs a memory into his head. And the memory is, he knows how to get to checkmate, but it's like 10 moves away. For those of you who are probably like me, I'm like one move at a time. I'm like, search and destroy. It's like boom, right? Well, for them, it's about, if he does this, I do that, and it's all these different moves, and he makes a move, and all of a sudden, the young boy kind of looks up, and the chess master, who was his instructor, said, that was a mistake. He's gone. It's 9 moves away. Don't move till you see it. And so he goes through, and then the young man reaches across as a, hey, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm offering you up a draw right now. And so he offers him up a draw, and the young man, his opponent goes, have you seen the board? He goes, yeah, I have. You're beat. I'm offering you up a draw right now. And he's like, are you kidding? He's like, all right, play it out. And so he plays it out, and sure enough, 9 moves later, and the kid's sitting there staring at him, tips his king over, and shakes his hand. And so I always tell our guys that, because you never know when that opportunity is going to become. Like I tell them, like, you never know when that zone, everybody talks about being in the zone, when that's going to happen. The zone sometimes is, for hitters, it could be the first swing, it could be the 10th swing, it could be the 1,000th swing. I still remember, there was my sophomore year, I ended up hitting 419, okay? I hit 104 hits, and I remember the one swing where I went, whoa, that was different. And ever since then, that whole year, I had that. And what's funny is the next year I came back and I'm like, okay, it's still going to be there. And it wasn't. And so now you're like, okay, I got to find it. And so you're constantly searching for that feeling. And so my goal with our guys is always to just let them know that you may not have it right now, but it will be there, but you don't know which swing it's going to be. You don't know what pitch it's going to be. You don't know what opportunity it's going to be. And so everybody's like, oh, he's not really good. I'm like, right now. Like, it can get there. Young man right now, Kyle Nevin, who is Phil's son, is just absolutely smashing balls. And everybody's like, well, when did this happen? I go, he's been smashing balls his whole life. He's just found that groove right now where he's in a pretty good spot. And so that's one thing that, Doc was saying earlier, there's some kids on our team that I think inspire me more than my job as a coach inspiring them. I mean, it's like I can yell and scream, I can make them do all sorts of different things. It's just different now. It's different now. I can't make them run. Okay, the NCAA doesn't allow us to do that. There's certain things that we're just not allowed to do. But when you see some of the things that these kids go through on a daily basis, Jack Pineda, young man, hits a home run off a foul pole against Kansas the other day, and he dedicates that to like one of his dearest friends who ended up taking off life support from a car accident when he was growing up. He's 21 years old. I have we have young men who are, the parents are going through liver failure because of a drinking problem, drug overdoses, deaths in families. Trey Richardson on Saturday morning had food poisoning, was at Premier ER getting IVs in him just so he could play. Then they have to deal with a crazy Puerto Rican coach, and then they got to deal with crazy professors telling them they have all this work to get done. And then they have all these different things for the athletics departments to do. I mean, it's not like they just show up and have to go through that. We have kids, right now I have 9 pitchers who can't pitch because of injury, surgery, or whatever, fluke things, just absolute fluke things. And that inspires me when you see how hard they have to work just to be able to do what they love to do. They're 18 to 22 years old. And they are in the training room for hours upon hours just to be able to throw a baseball. They're in the training room for hours, and the strength conditioning people with hours just to make sure that they can run down the baseline without blowing something out. I mean, they're phenomenal athletes, but that's what I tell them. Athletes get hurt. You're putting your body through something very physical. And that's one of the craziest things is that these kids, you see them in uniform, you see them on TV, but what you don't see are the hours upon hours of work that they're putting in just to put their body in a position where they might be able to have success. And then you have me going, can you throw today? Coach is killing me. Got it. So these kids, like I go out there and I do everything I can to push them. My job is to make them feel like King Kong. There's days where they feel like Jane, trust me. And I look at them and go, yeah, you're Jane today, I got it. But my job is to make them feel like King Kong. It's just that simple. When they go out there, I have to make sure that they feel like they can do absolutely anything they want to do on that baseline. I will inspire, I will talk, I will yell, I will scream, I will pat on the back, I will hug, I will do whatever I have to do. You know why? Because they deserve that. And no, they don't realize how hard they push their bodies on a daily basis. And I can guarantee you this, you guys don't either. You don't realize how hard you can do some things until you actually have somebody shoving you down the way. What's funny is there was a time when I could actually do some crazy things as a coach. Borderline really getting fired now, borderline back then, but really getting fired now. I would have them roll uphill. So there's a berm down the right field line, it's something similar to that, but I would get them to roll uphill. Like just get on their body, just get on their side, and just start trying to roll uphill. It's almost impossible. But the fact that they actually continue to try to do it, I would just put a mark up and say, hey, you guys got to get to this point. And they would do everything they possibly could, and they would eventually get there. But when you look at it and you start it, there's no chance. My goal is not like a huge punishment. My goal is to teach them that this is something that you can do. But it's not going to be easy. And so our saying right now is do hard things. And everybody's like, what does that mean? Well, do hard things. And here's the thing, my hard things might be completely different than yours. Their hard things are completely different than mine and yours. Their hard things might be, you know what? I'm not going to watch porn on my phone for the next 24 hours. You know what? I'm not going to drink this weekend. You know what? I'm going to go to sleep at a reasonable hour and wake up at 6 and read the Bible for 10 minutes. For some of them, that's really hard. For some of them, it might be, you know what? I'm going to try to call my mom who hasn't really talked to me in a couple months. I'm going to call her and talk to her. When you force yourself to do hard things, I'm going to backtrack 1 second. Has anybody ever pitched in Lubbock? Okay. If you've pitched in front of 5,000 screaming, drunk, 40-year-old men screaming at you, okay, that's something I can't replicate. If I tried, I'd be fired. But understand, like, I can't replicate that. My job is to try to create situations for them to where, once again, it's the Bobby Fischer thing. Oh, I know what happens here. I can do that. I can't replicate that. So unless you've gone through that, you don't know what that's like. So your job is to put your body through something difficult. So when it gets forced into that, because your body will create some hormones and chemistry going on in there. That's the fight or flight type of environment, where it's either I know my body has been through this feeling, I know how to go about it, or it hasn't. And when it hasn't, what's going to happen in Lubbock is not good. And I've seen it, it's not good. But I've also seen the alternative. I've seen guys who have been through that situation, who have gone through hard times, who have forced themselves into really hard things that they've done. And they get into that situation of, yeah, let's go, you guys bring it on. Yeah, 45-year-old guy yelling at the 22-year-old guy, yeah, come on, let's go, I got you. So my job is to make sure I challenge them to do hard things. Once again, I don't know what that is. And I told every one of them this. I don't know what your hard thing is. And this kind of goes for you guys here. I don't know what it is. And guess what? You're never too old to do it. Because every day there's going to be something you kind of, not sure about that. Guess what? That's a hard thing. Sometimes you're not really wearing a cape when you do it. Sometimes it doesn't get noticed. Sometimes you do it just because you're supposed to. Once again, I have our guys on the plane, on buses, wherever we go, when there's people needing help. I said that's our job. One is men, but two is athletes, to make sure that we represent everybody at Baylor. And so when people need help, we better be the first ones doing it. Guess what? For some of them, that's really hard. Because the kids nowadays, it's all about them. And trying to move that into a different place where I'm going to make it about someone else, that's really hard. And that's why these kids, and Doc and I were explaining, like, we have to recruit a special kind of kid here. And they're awesome. They are awesome. I sit there and I go, look, we don't have any bad kids. We might have some bad players every now and then, but we don't have bad kids. Right now they're bad sometimes. But I'll tell you what, I will go to war with every single one of them. Because I know when it comes down to it, I know where their heart is. And isn't that something special? When I know, everybody's like, well, how do you do that? This is coaching, okay? I'm just going to tell you. There's two different styles of coaching, okay? One is a business transaction. Hi, I'm going to recruit you, here's your scholarship, you're not very good, I'm going to get rid of you, and then we're going to bring somebody else in. That's one style of coaching, okay? I don't believe that's how we should do things here. So my style is, I'm going to sit at that table, I'm going to get to know every single one of you. You're international. I'm going to ask you questions that are going to make you uncomfortable. I'm going to ask you questions about your hobbies, your parents' hobbies, where'd you go to vacation, when have you traveled, when was the last time you were on a flight, did you like your car, do you not like cars, what's your favorite kind of music, do you play video games, what kind, is it anime thing, are you an anime guy or not, what's going on there? I'm going to know every little thing about you because I have to know what motivates you. If I don't know what motivates you, how am I going to coach you? Because I don't want it to be a transaction. I want it to be a relationship. Because when When it becomes a relationship, all I have to do is look at that guy and he knows I'm upset. I don't need to yell at that level. Because he knows what my expectation for him is in that moment. So the relationships that you create, the relationships, sometimes those are hard. Regardless if they're with coworkers, family members, crazy uncle, or some of you guys smile because you're like, yeah, I got that guy. But that's the thing. It's about relationships, and it's about doing hard things. When you got that, man, you're going to be okay. That's why these players inspire me. It's because they go out there, they do hard things every day, and they do things that nobody sees. The only time they see it is on a baseball field. And so I always challenge you guys just to understand that they go through a lot, and their coaching staff, we encourage them as best we can to push themselves to be the best men, best athletes, and best players and representatives for Baylor that you can possibly imagine. I'm going to add, do you want me to ask for questions?
Sure, I think you should, yes.
Okay, I'll let you guys ask questions, and I have the opportunity to say no.
Well, I'm a Red Raider, and I...
I'm sorry.
I
We all carry a cross at some point.
used to yell at the opposing team, but there's something else out there that is a phenomenon that happens only in Lubbock, and that is when you're pitching and we're batting, the wind is blowing out. When you're batting and we're pitching, the wind is blowing in. And I still don't know how...
All the time. That's why they're 18-1 at home this year. That's good.
But I do want to ask you a scholarship-related question, as I understand it.
You're going to donate a scholarship to our program? Red Raiders have now turned the corner.
Right, the check is in the mail. As I understand it, the baseball scholarships and some of the others are quite limited compared to, say, football and some of the other sports. And at a school like Baylor, TCU, Rice, that are more of the expensive schools, what is Baylor allowed to do within the NCAA rules to supplement or help the athletes with the expense of going to Baylor?
I just want to make sure what kind of time I got going. It's a great question. Okay. NCAA rules, I'm going to gloss over a little bit. We are currently allowed 35, right now it's 40, but next year it'll be 35. We're allowed 35 people on our team. Okay. We have to offer a minimum of 25% if we offer any scholarship to a student athlete. That's roughly $16,000. The NCAA only allows me to give 27 of the 35 scholarship. Okay, I've been fighting it for years. I'm like, why do you want to tell me how many guys I can actually give scholarship to? So at that point, I have 8 on our team who won't receive anything. Now, Baylor does an unbelievable job of academic scholarships. So that's a part of it. There's a new thing that will be coming out. You guys may have seen it. Matt Rhodes was talking about it with the Alston money. So every scholarship athlete will receive $5,980. It'll be in 2 different installments, half in the fall, half in the spring. So that's another 10% that each scholarship athlete will get. The weird part for me is that the non-scholarship athletes won't receive it. And that's not a Baylor thing, that's just a Big 12 thing. I think they're all trying to figure that out. The new nuance is the NIL. Okay, the name, image, and likeness thing, where you see people, you see quarterbacks making $1.3 million. There's an outfielder at LSU making $300,000. I mean, so you're starting to see a separation in regards to finances. I believe at UT, please don't quote me on this, I'm not 100% sure, but I've been told from pretty reliable sources that their baseball team, each player receives $8,000 a semester. That's $16,000. Plus they're going to receive Alston money, which is another $6,000, so they're getting $22,000. So understand, that's full tuition plus money. So athletic scholarship at that point, they really don't need it. Like the LSU outfielder gave his scholarship back because he's already received from that. So Baylor, we understand that we are an expensive school, and that we are going to have, that's why another thing, we have to recruit the right kids. We want them to know who we are, what we're about, understand the cost, and understand that there will be some pain involved. But it's something that we have to kind of deal with. So hopefully that kind of answers some questions. But once again, everybody's like, you know, it's expensive. Like, I think Pepperdine, where I was, is currently $82,000 a year. So I came here and I'm like, discount. But understand, like that's part of my job is I have to just continue to recruit. If we offer a scholarship because we can't afford that, I go to the next guy, and it's just the way it is. Yes, sir.
Is baseball the only sport that has their scholarships like this?
Isn't it great? Way back in the early 2000s, there was a coach at Arizona State who was offering, we didn't have roster limitations. And so he would have 50 guys on his roster and he'd give everybody 1%. And so a lot of coaches were really upset with that. And so the problem was the graduation rates started to plummet in college baseball. Because they were transferring, nobody was graduating, they could transfer whenever they wanted to. And so they started putting some limitations. You have to have skin in the game at 25%. You can't offer everybody that. And so they started to make some stipulations. Well, the graduation rate started to rise dramatically when they took away the one-time transfer rule. So you could not transfer. You could transfer, but you had to sit out a year. Well, who wants to sit out a year? You want to play. So you're like, okay, I'm just going to continue to do this then. Well, now I'm going to be interested to see kind of where the graduation rates go with the transfer report right now. But that's kind of how it all started. So they wanted to do some things with baseball to increase graduation rates. Yes, sir.
What are your thoughts on the new digital pitch signaling device that Major League Baseball is doing, and will college move into that?
What's your favorite Major League team?
What's what?
What's your favorite Major League Baseball team?
Texas Rangers. Rangers.
Texas Rangers. I was hoping you were going to say the Houston Astros.
No, I know that.
Well, that's the reason.
Yeah.
It was funny, everybody's like, isn't that a little extreme? Tell Clayton Kershaw that was a little extreme when he couldn't win a World Series because they were relaying pitches. Tell the Boston Red Sox that. You know, when you're fighting your whole career to try to win a World Series championship and someone's stealing your signs legally or illegally, your job is to make sure that they can't do that. And so that's where we have gone with this thing. It's extreme, but I think everybody just wants to be on the same playing field knowing that there's no live feeds going from center field camera into a dugout and somebody's relaying pitches, which by the way does happen in college baseball. Yeah.
Are y'all going into that? Are y'all going to have a system?
My science system is pretty complex. It's so complex that our players don't know it. We have not gotten into the. So when you see me sometimes, I kind of our players always laugh because they know I'm frustrated when I kind of give them like a head tilt, like seriously, which happened several times last night. Yeah, I have a very complex science system for that very reason. Other coaches, it's way too easy, and I can pick it. So it's just like I always viewed it like poker. Okay, if you have it's legal. I know what you have based off of what your facial expression is. Okay, well, it's the same thing. If I pick your signs, I'm not cheating. You're just not doing a good job. And so my job is to make sure I have a system in place that nobody can pick, and even our current players don't pick these guys. But for some, they don't want to have to worry about it. They don't want to have to worry about if somebody has their signs wrong. They want to make it very simple, and they want to focus on what's on the field. And I think that's the main reason.
Steve,
Yes,
there's
sir.
a couple of players I'd like for you to tell us more about. You mentioned Evan a while ago, and I know I read where he got 7 home runs
Yes, sir.
already. And then another one I wish you'd tell us about because I found you very interesting. Andretti that won the game last weekend. I read where he plays 6 or 7 other positions. Is that true?
I'm sure he said that. 6 or 7. I'm going to get to play them all tonight. How about that? we actually recruited him a little bit out of high school, but due to scholarships, we weren't really able to get him to our campus. Very talented kid. He's an outfielder. He's probably one of our better defending outfielders. He's very good. And he was a bullpen pitcher for us. One of our starting pitchers was in a car accident literally a week before the season started, and we're hoping to get him back here soon. And so we needed some guys to be able to fill in. So Kobe was going to be a bullpen guy for us, and he has now turned into a starting pitcher, and his ball just doesn't go straight. As soon as he gets to 160 pounds, it's going to be really impressive. Like he is amazing. He weighs as much as I did in high school, and I was like, dude, I just want him to gain some more weight, because in baseball, mass moves mass. Football, a lot of sports. Like the stronger you are, there's a tipping point where mass is just mass. It's not moving anything. It's just mass. But for baseball, mass moves mass, and not to mention it protects you. Okay, the stronger you are, the bigger you are a little bit. It protects you from injury, and it helps you recover a little bit faster. So when he gets to that point, it's going to be really impressive. But the things that he's doing right now, he didn't really play a lot at A&M last year, but the fact that he's doing what he is doing right now has really helped our program. And just a neat kid. Kyle Nevin was not recruited by anybody. Great coaching and recruiting. So obviously his brother Tyler was a first-round pick. He was committed to UCLA. What's funny is he hit a grand slam. This will be the inside scoop for you guys. His brother hit a grand slam. Kyle had 4 RBIs, and their sister had a baby all on the same day. So parents were like, woo, 8 RBIs and 10 fingers and 10 toes. We're good. So they were all happy that there's a new girl in the family. But like I said, and just by when we recruited him, you can see the physical aspects. You can see, I mean, obviously he's 6'5", but he weighed like 130 pounds when we recruited him. But the aspects were there. It all looked right. And so the swing looked right. There was nothing funky. I don't believe in revamping things. I can't revamp things. It is what it is. I can tinker, but I can't revamp. It's just too hard. When they get to a certain age, there's a book out called Why Michael Couldn't Hit. And it's why Michael Jordan wasn't a good baseball player. It's because there's a certain age that things just start sticking to where they are. And so for Kyle, it was just a matter of just getting stronger. And he's still a little ways away from his full potential. I mean, he's gained, I think, 25 pounds since he's been here. And he's got 7 home runs, and he's really feeling it. I think he's one of the best defenders in the outfield as well with his arm. I bet he throws 93, 94 off the mound just by watching him throw. But I'll tell you what, he's a great kid, an unbelievable kid. The family is awesome, and he's a baseball guy, so it's easy to talk and work with him. So the weird aspect, once again, his dad was the third base coach for the Yankees, right? And then all of a sudden he gets fired, and I'm like, Kyle, okay, does his family know? Does Kyle know? And having to maneuver that whole thing, and now he's with the Angels, and he's closer to home, and he's happy. But, once again, all of those things playing factors in regards to these kids in their very big life. Yes, sir.
That's a pretty good throw from left field last night.
Shane Boltwood had a phenomenal, man, what a game-turning throw that was. Bases loaded, kind of a lazy fly ball on the left, kind of medium depth, and he comes up and throws a perfect one-hop right. I mean, those are momentum shifts. And that was just such a great job by him. He's always had a great arm. It's just a matter of the consistency of the plate. And, once again, just trying to find which chess pieces to put where at the right time. And he just did a great job for us. Absolutely. Okay, remember, do hard things. It's okay. Remember, yours is different than everybody else's. You guys have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate you coming today for your time. More importantly, for what you're doing in our community with the young men that you're impacting and helping change their lives. Okay, so obviously we're welcoming all our guests that are here. Our next meeting is the third Tuesday, May the 3rd. We're going to have the results of challenge. So it's one of the things that we do through our youth service fund. You're going to see some really smart kids. The final round is between Waco High and Midway, so we'll get to see some of that. I want to thank KXXP for their sponsorship of that event. Tonight, we have a social tonight at 5 o'clock at Piva Bar. If anybody doesn't know where that is, it's on 8th Street, 320 8th Street. There's no charge to attend. It's just fun, good fellowship with everyone. And I think that is it. We're going to close with our four-way test. Those are the things that we think, say, and do. So please stand and close with that. Is it true?